Are you ready to take our knowledge of this place that we all live much further than before? Are you ready to expose old world maps? And are you ready to find massive ancient underground cities? Are you ready to see things from the old world that have been hidden for far too long? We have located a very interesting map from the year 1583, supposedly. Within the same map, we have Russia and Tartaria, both together, Tartaria. All here on the map within the last few hundred years. And not a single time did our history books ever mention this place. Never did they mention Tartaria. This is the main reason that I am so interested in this location. Why is this country, this massive place on our map, never mentioned to us? Why is it being suppressed? Why? We learn all about the Huns, the Roman Empire. We learn all about Julius Caesar and his friends. Why don't we hear about Tartaria? What is being hidden in this location? Who was this group that has now been taken over? As we see today, what happened to this group? Who took them over? How did this take place? Tartaria, or Tartary, a massive amount of land that we are not told about, where we can scroll to the left. And going back to episode 61, we have the land of Mu, or a land on this map called New Guinea. Now we can see that this map is showing that New Guinea is massive, basically the same exact size as South America. It is not this little tiny piece of island that we all see today, which we know is a no-fly zone. We have shown this. It is also much closer to North and South America than what we can see today, where this is another proof, in my opinion, that there is possibly a continent in this location where we've seen it called the Land of Mu, and there are stories about it. And if you'd like to see this map in real life, it is currently located in the Library of Congress, Rare Book and Special Collections Division, Washington, D.C., where we have shown in episode 83 how it seems like we have something massive just below South America. And switching over to this map, we can see that there are things in the ocean that are as big as Madagascar, with Tartaria right here, and of course, Shalaga, where this civilization, in my opinion, were the ones that were creating the thousands of miles of underground structures and tunnel systems from episode 80. And what is this land over here? Just hiding and all shaded, right in the location of Mu, or Lemuria, and lots of land up north, all shaded. The maps are very interesting, including this 1544 map, where Antarctica is as green as can be, including a map that we have all discussed in episode 70, the Mappa Mundi, where things are connecting. The map that was bombed, as we showed, was one of two maps in existence that we have knowledge of that held the phrase, "Here be dragons," in Latin. Here be dragons. Very interesting. And while we're talking about Latin, scientific in Latin, meaning that it is fiction, if you can believe it, where the other map of the two being the Hunt Lennox map, when we are told that the first known depiction of a dragon on a map comes from the Ebstorf map, the Mappa Mundi, from 1232. And then you wonder why this map was destroyed, holding keys to the past, keys to hidden knowledge. We know about this map. We have photos of it. We can still see its knowledge on the front side of it. Could something have been on the back? Who knows? And which maps were lit on fire immediately and never shown to us? Our history is completely fabricated to the core. It has been altered to hide that there was so much more here, where we are today, hiding a previous civilization, an extremely advanced civilization that constructed palaces all over the map, hiding dragons and the rest, hiding more land, hiding it all, having zero idea where you are or what you are doing here is key to control. If a group is lost and confused, and then there is a group willing to lead them, the lost group will follow. The destination is irrelevant, whether it is good or bad. The lost group will follow. And this is why the world history is not true. Creating a brand new history creates a brand new future. Now, before we switch gears fully, I want to update everyone on our Chicago Tunnel episode 80, where I'm going to keep the individual anonymous. But I'm very thankful they reached out and emailed me, stating that his wife used to work in the Tribune building in Chicago, or as we know now, Shalaga. His wife worked there at the building and told us that there are currently 8 sub-basements, where the basement is divided in half. Half for housing the large equipment that runs the building, the other half for storage. 8 sub-basements, showing that these buildings are massive and not built by a horse and wagon community, and not built the way they tell us that they are, where they have never exposed this type of information to the public. Just looking at this building, we know that they are definitely hiding the truth from us. And now we know that it goes 8 floors under the ground. And to be honest, it may be more, where the individual also told me that these sub-basements are off limits to the public and have a guard standing by, where this building did not flood. And why do you think this is? Possibly because they knew the flood was coming and were warned by the city? Because they had previously concreted over the tunnel, and there is an elevator that goes down to the bottom level, where she says you could get lost down there and never found. And I'm sure some have. Incredible stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that is going to keep happening more and more. The more that this channel grows, the more this community grows, the more we all come together with brand new information from multiple angles, exposing the truth over and over, different perspectives and different experiences, all into one. It's great to see, and we're just getting started today, especially when we see this. Located in Turkey, known as Derinkuyu, where it is an ancient, multi-level underground city. And like I always say, we are just getting started on this channel. Welcome to episode 84 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new, welcome. And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app. I'll put the link right in the description. And you can use my referral code, MLB. If you click the Tartaria button, you'll see the My Lunch Break playlist right here. The app is awesome. Thank you to Rebecca K, Don Gaston, Christopher Arietta, The Lady Lacey Show, David and Sherry Ferguson, Edwin Johnson, Chuck Templeton, Joy Lee, Stephanie Nolan, The Burlesons, Suez KC, Dan Woodall, Dale, DJ Clicktrack, Edward and Brianna, Jacob Law, Jim Ribley and Christine Duggan, Kyle Glascock, PKTFnews.org, Regna Saturna, Dendries NL, Juana Mesher, Sirius Feline, G Power, Natalie Shippenoff, Amberson EMC, HK Sue, Isaac Wright, Melissa Edgar, Biggles, Clayton Lamar, Ultimus Maximus, Noble Task Homestead, John Adams, Easy and Whitney, Roberts O'Zolins, Crypto Schizo, Rick Tapkey, Jesse DeLeon, Blake, Billy Prater, Magnus, Paraplegic Coffee, The Phoenix Art, Jetski Chuck, The Arnolds, 3D6 Dot Space, Attila Power, VKH Bonner, Rod James, Bell's Clarions for God, Forbidden Gecko Love, Justin Grobner Grubb, Leah Strong, Peter Batani, Dakota Dunn, Eric Martinez, Ivan Apoctoli, Jim Bro, Edwin Rice, Helmut, Charles Kruger, Glenn Gunderson, EdgarT-shirts.com, Meta, Jason Hochberg, Marie C, ValleyMedicinals.com, Kyle Logan, Alina and Chris the IT Guy, Ron Mower, David and Irene, Michael Dingyu, Patriot Armory, Tom O'Hara, Wayne T, Michael D. Connor, William Royal, C3SCOB, Ancient Tallow, Jeffrey Temple, Lil Miss, SonyaDane.com, Thad Luop, James Alt, Bucksui, Big Pasty, Jason Prest, TheGoldenTeacher.co, Papa One, Suki Warrior, We the People, Migs, Babo, Ariana Oates, Jenica Joyce, John Adams, Nathan Burba, Skeet, Joey K, Co Drenth, Frizz Tickle, Mousy Mouse Cheese Records, The Sovereign, Debreus, Charlie, Kimberly Bruce, Natasha C, K Moore, Dan McGee, Vince Moreno, Roz Matthews, Shiba Shaba in the Darkness. You guys are all awesome and helping this channel out a lot. We all remember in episode 80 when Chicago told us that no other city in the world has tunnels. What an incredible slip up. The further that we go into this research, the more ammunition that we have to attack this ridiculous narrative all over the world. When we are told that this site in Turkey is the largest excavated underground city in Turkey alone, and is one of several underground complexes found throughout Cappadocia, which is a region in Turkey. The underground city in Turkey could accommodate up to 20,000 people and had amenities found in other underground complexes, such as wine and oil presses, stables, cellars, storage rooms, where the mainstream historians were there. And they remember that the rooms on the left were used for studies. And this information about the rooms on the left have just been passed down from generation to generation. This is a bunch of nonsense. They don't know what activity was going on in these rooms. And we know this now. This is a guess, 100%. They don't have any idea what was going on in these rooms. And that's the reality of the situation. So let's not pretend that someone born in 1980 is going to know exactly what happened in rooms underground. You can't just walk into an abandoned building and know all about their basement. Somebody would have to tell you what each room was used for. So this story about them knowing that rooms on the left are used for studies, this story is nonsense. It's extremely important for all of us to be able to read a narrative and see through the children's stories. They are a trick, and they keep people in that trance where people would just accept it for years and never think twice. We are exposing ridiculous statements over and over, showing exactly how to detect them within a narrative so that you can go find them yourself. And this is not just in history. This kind of thing happens all the time, even to this day. It is very important to be able to critically think, to ask questions. Starting between the third and the fourth levels are a series of vertical staircases. Multiple levels under the city is exactly what we are reading, where we can now fully see that we were correct all along. We fully understand after the first 84 episodes that these cities are not just on the ground. Multiple levels under our feet all over the world, which we have shown. It's incredible. The old world creating all of this, where they had technology that would blow our minds today. And then possibly the most bone-chilling moment in all of our research so far, showing that this was a civilization that was in hiding. Hiding from what? What was the old world, the previous civilization? What were they hiding from? Where there is a large 180-foot ventilation shaft. The shaft provided water to both the villagers above, and if the outside world was not accessible, the water would be provided to those in hiding. Those in hiding. Can you believe this? Where the city accommodated up to 20,000 people underground. Multiple levels. What happened here where we all live today? Clearly the history that we have all been told is missing something massive. A mass destruction event that I believe was without a doubt within the last few hundred years. And we are all now back on the ground level. We are now the finders, or the founders, of all of the previous civilizations' work. And this is becoming extremely clear at this point. Where the caves might have been, maybe. Again, the mainstream narrative has no idea. This is the first thing that is stated, that the caves might have been built. in the 8th to the 7th centuries BCE, like 2,800 years ago. Pinning this date down, maybe, as they like to say. So they pull that number out of thin air and continue on to tell us that they were replacing languages because one just died out. Of course it did. Just gone. Well, maybe it did. So the inhabitants expanded their caverns to deep, multiple level structures, 85 meters below the city. And let's just open the doors on this thing. Let's blow people's minds today and go deeper than ever before. Here we go. According to BBC, this is not a 4 to 5 level system. This is a site that encompasses 18 levels of tunnels. 18 levels of underground tunnels underneath the city. The largest excavated underground city in the world that we know of, where we know that this is most likely under every single major city in the world, where cave-like rooms stretch on for hundreds of miles, where it's thought that there are more than 200 small, separate underground cities that have also been discovered in this region, maybe connected to these tunnels, creating a massive subterranean network. 200 separate underground cities, all connected underground, 18 levels deep. I have to be honest, this is blowing my mind at this point. Remember, this is what we are all being told. Can you imagine what we are not being told about? Are these things actually deeper than 18 levels? What kind of rooms are really down there? How far do they really reach? Because obviously they have found things that we are not allowed to know about or see within these tunnel systems. Just like in Paris, where the catacombs underground go for thousands of miles, and only part of the ossuary is open to the public. Where in France, there is a much more extensive subterranean network of tunnels under other parts of Paris, which is of course off limits to visitors. So what was going on before we all got here? Because it is so obvious at this point that what we are all being taught is complete nonsense. It is not the full story. There was clearly a mass event that made it 100% necessary for massive tunnel systems to be present underneath all of these cities. We have shown that in Chicago, the thousands of miles of tunnels there have also been closed off from the public. Closing these tunnels off from the public today shows me that there is something still in these tunnels, or a purpose for these tunnel systems that's still going on today. There is a motive to block these off from the public. Why are they all working together, blocking these tunnel systems off from the public all over the world today? Is it to hide the past? Or is it to hide what is still in there? Is it to hide what's still going on under our feet today? Or is it to hide the future? 200 separate underground cities, all connecting to create a massive subterranean network where we are being lied to about our past 100%. And we are all discovering it and taking it back live in real time, where we are told that nobody even knew about what was below their feet until 1963 came around. So 1962, nobody knew that 18 levels and 200 cities were all connected right under our feet. This is only 61 years ago. 62 years ago, this place was hiding below our feet, undiscovered. Yet they can tell us all about it today, saying they know all about the room on the left and know all about the negative 2800s, where we all know at this point that their narrative is not factual information. Rediscovering this site in 1963 by an anonymous local who kept losing his chickens while he was renovating his home. The chickens found a massive tunnel system. Tommy the chicken found a massive tunnel system 18 levels deep, where the poultry would disappear into a small crevice created during the remodel, never to be seen again. Where I definitely need to get some tunnel hunting chickens. Upon closer investigation and some digging, the Turk unearthed a deep passageway. It was the first of more than 600 entrances found within private homes, leading to the subterrestrial city. In this research, I always wonder, will anything ever blow my mind more than what I've just seen? And time again, it just gets more and more incredible. 600 entrances, 18 levels of tunnel systems, 200 cities connecting through a network, all under our feet, all found by a random guy and his chickens. The previous civilization was extremely advanced, fully understanding construction, creating palaces on the ground level, palaces that are still here today, as well as massive underground tunnel systems all over the world. This technology was known all over the world. They were not riding around on donkeys with hammers in their left hand and their chisels in their right. This thought process that humans are finally to the point of getting a telephone or internet, Wi-Fi, planes, trains, cars, all of this, thinking that this is all brand new. This narrative is no longer factual information. Clearly, there have been people here before that had much more technology than we do today. Clearly, there is something else going on here where we all live today. Something that an advanced civilization needed to hide from, and they were clearly able to do so, where according to the mainstream professors, they say that creating 18-level tunnel systems, 200 cities all connecting, would have been fairly easy to do with simple tools like shovels and pickaxes. This is easy, according to the mainstream narrative. Strategically creating a ventilation shaft that provided water in and out of the underground city. Thousands of miles of tunnels, all done very easily. This could have been done with a shovel, according to the brilliant man of Florida State University. According to this guy, 2,800 years ago, they could have done this in their sleep. A spoon or a shovel would have made no difference. The cavemen of the past just had tunnel construction down. They were born with this skill, where the mainstream has no idea who created these tunnels. Because remember, the chicken just found them 61 years ago. So who should they credit these tunnels to? Well, the credit of creating them remains a partial mystery. They don't know who created them, and go on to suggest that the Hittites made them, where they may have excavated them while under attack around 1,200 BCE. So the mainstream says 2,800 years ago, and now saying 3,200 years ago, where they can just make up any date they'd like yet again, and we all believed it, and saying that it was easy. We know that these tunnel systems all over the world were not created easily. 18 levels underground is not created easily with a little shovel. And these networks are never open to the public, which shows me that they may also connect to each other all over the world. And before we take this research a step further, let's take a minute and thank all of our badge members, all of our Patreons, and every single subscriber, and everyone who likes the videos. You are all awesome in helping grow this channel to a bigger and bigger audience every single Saturday. We are also over on X, Instagram, Rumble, TikTok, and Spotify. And because of all of you, we're able to make an episode every single week. Now let's take this further. We know that humans need sunlight to survive, where according to ChatGPT, survival without sunlight would likely be limited to a matter of weeks or months. So people, humans, are not going to be able to set up camp for months underground. We simply cannot survive underground for months or years. Unless, of course, there was a power source, a light source, electricity. Which brings up a brand new question. Whoever was in these tunnels, 18 levels deep, do we all understand how dark it would be down there? Unless they had torches, where again, ChatGPT and AI will tell you that it would be extremely unlikely for a fire torch to stay on in a tunnel system that is 18 floors deep due to the lack of oxygen, ventilation, and fuel source, where it states, even if a fire were to start in a tunnel system, the amount of fuel may be limited. It would need a continuous source of fuel. Now, this is not realistic at all in the narrative that we are all told, especially since we are told that Edwin Drake drilled the first crude oil well in 1859. So, electricity, a light bulb, is the only option 18 levels below the ground. So going straight back to episode 10 and 38, are we 100% sure that electricity has never been here before? A light bulb. Who was living 18 levels deep in the dark? The answer is clear, that it would not be physically possible for a human to do this in the dark. And we know that a human could not survive or even construct something 18 levels down in the dark. I don't think this is looking so easy after all. And then survive there for months in the dark, proving one of two things. The first being that it was humans who constructed the tunnel systems, and they had technology, such as a light source, technology that we have been given back today. And we've discussed this so many times. But here we have physical evidence that a light source would be necessary. What we are doing right now is taking the mainstream narrative and shredding it right in half forever. They had to have had a light source 18 levels down. Nobody was constructing tunnels in the dark, and we know this. So the light bulb being invented in 1879, I believe, is 100% a lie. And we fully know this now. Now, I definitely believe it was humans. And I believe there was technology. They had a light source, and so much more. And this technology is being given back to us today. But let's just pretend, since we're investigating, that there wasn't a light source, like the mainstream history is telling us. We'll just go off of their story for a second. Building tunnel systems for thousands of miles in the dark, 18 levels deep with a shovel. 200 cities, all interconnected, tunnel systems, connected all over the world. Thousands of miles for living spaces, a situation that a human would not thrive in at all, where it is possible that these tunnels and underground structures were created and constructed for survival, and many did not make it, which then, in turn, created the catacombs. Again, I will never hold back any thought or information. So let's take this a step further. Is there a species out there that we are unaware of today? A species that we are not being told about, hidden from us, blocking us off from the proof within these tunnel systems? A species that is living or have lived right under our feet. A species that would have thrived underground. At this point, we have found so much evidence simply because we have asked questions. And I think it's important to at least ask the question so that we're all aware of it in case we come across more evidence that supports it in the future. There are facts in play here. We know that we could not survive months underground in the dark. So we have to ask, who can? And who could build underground structures 18 levels deep, 200 cities under our feet, exactly like we have shown today, in the dark? Well, it could for sure have been humans, and I'm leaning towards that. But, like I said, it's important to ask questions. Could there have been or still be a species that is off limits to the public, a species that thrive underground, where we are told that the Earth was destroyed first by fire and then by ice, and one Earth world, the old world, passed into the other, our civilization today? It is told in the Native American stories that ant people took groups of virtuous humans into their underground homes and protected and taught them until the earth was safe for humans again.
This is quite a famous phenomenon. There are huge cities. They look like ant farms. They look like ant farms on an enormous scale that are dug out under the earth.
Where this took place in Colorado, meaning that there must be massive tunnel systems there as well. So I will be investigating that. Now, this is of course a legend, and I'm not saying it is proof at all, but it is very interesting and something to keep in mind that ant people are being discussed on the other side of the map, with massive tunnel systems all over the world, like we know. Who builds tunnels? Well, ants do. The last time I checked, humans are not known for their tunnel skills and living underground in the dark. But yet, we find tunnel systems everywhere, all interconnected strategically, where this is not just in Colorado. It is interesting to note that the Babylonian sky god was named Anu, where the Hopi word for ant is also Anu, and the Hopi root word for Naki means friends, suggesting that the Hopi, Anunnaki, or ant friends might have been the same group as the Sumerian Anunnaki. In multiple languages all over the world are put here to confuse us. Located in what we call today Iraq, around Baghdad. And if these were truly humans' friends, like we are told, and if we are truly in a little season, you can begin to put the pieces together and see why certain locations, such as Baghdad, are chosen to be bombed. Where in April 2003, almost the entire collection of ancient cylinder seals were stolen from the Iraq Museum in Baghdad, and it remains missing. Where the US tanks rolled into Baghdad, they broke into the museum. Looters rampaged through the halls, storerooms, and cellars, stealing more than 15,000 precious objects. Destruction of our true past, showing that this world is so much different than what we've been told, proving that there are things being hidden from us, things that would blow people's minds, species that could possibly still be here, species that are not coming from outer space, but more likely inner space, species that we were told have actually helped us, where the groups in charge have bombed their sites, destroying 15,000 proofs of our past. And we all know that it's more. When on April 14th, 2003, the Iraq National Library and National Archives were burned down, destroying thousands of manuscripts from the previous civilization, where another 170,000 artifacts were stolen or broken. Now, can you even imagine what has been destroyed and hidden from us? 170,000 artifacts in text that would expose our true past, that are now gone, where we can all see very clearly now. We can see what happened and what is going on today. Destroying our history, destroying the true past, destroying the text and stealing them so that we can no longer see them, where you can see how important our past is at this point. If you no longer understand the past, this 100% means that the future can be fully manipulated and controlled. And I want to remind you all that we are just getting started on this channel. An article from 21 years ago states that the rumored existence of huge networks of tunnels beneath Iraq presented a whole new challenge to US troops.